time to present Scott to Pot to bring you another episode of Finance Your Movie with tips and strategies to help you get your money to tell your story. It's time!
Thank you, Bruce Buffer, once again for that amazing intro. I am so stoked today to have American movie star. When I mean movie star, I will tell you why in a minute. Nick Searcy. And if you don't know that name, you've seen him before a million times. Days of Thunder, The Fugitive, Castaway, Runaway Jury, Moneyball, The Shape of Water, almost 100 television shows, including 78 episodes of Justified. And he just released a movie a few weeks ago, which I saw that blew me away, called Capital Punishment. Nick Searcy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
I was kind of joking to a friend of mine who knows you very well as well. He's a director here in Hollywood, and is like, yeah, every time they have an $80 million studio film, it's like the first guy they call is Nick Searcy, because you've been in these huge budget films.
Well, there's a lot of films that I've not been in too, and those films suffer for it, but yeah, I've been very fortunate. I really have. I got started late. My first movie was actually Days of Thunder, and I was 31 years old when I did that. But I've done a lot of theater before that, and since that movie, I've been able to make a living as an actor, and I've been very fortunate.
Well, you were making America Talented Again many years ago, but you just buried the lead there. So that was either your first or second role. Here you are opposite Tom Cruise.
Right.
I mean, how did that all happen?
Well, I spent 7 years in New York, 82 to 89, mostly doing theater and doing plays and trying to get into the movies and not really breaking in. And my wife and I moved back to North Carolina after we got pregnant to have our first child. And while I was there, the movies were casting for smaller parts in North Carolina. I got a little agent in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that was one of the first parts I got. And then it kind of grew from there. I had a few more small parts, and then I got a pretty big part in Fried Green Tomatoes, which sort of put me on the map. And that gave me enough. And since the movie did so well, it gave me enough juice to move to Hollywood and awesome. Not have to do any other job except act, which was that's when you've won.
Yeah. So we have a jam-packed show today, and I speaking of Carolina, I want to jump into a film I saw a while back. It came out in 1996, Carolina Low.
Yeah.
That's one you directed, right?
Right. That's the first film I directed. Sean Bridgers and I. Sean was the star, and he wrote the script, and he and I raised the money and made the movie.
So that's what we want to talk about just briefly. I'm guessing that was a fairly low budget, under $2 million.
It was $300,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed about that. So how did you guys raise the money? Was that a lot of locals, family and friends?
Mostly local people that we knew that were well-to-do, that were open to the idea. We pieced that together. We had one large donor that was about half the budget, and everything else was really 10,000 here, 20,000 there, kind of, and mostly just people that knew us and trusted us. We didn't get money from our parents, but we got money from a lot of people in the community.
Well, you got it done. And that's what I tell people is start with people that know you or you might have some connection with rather than just going to a complete stranger. So good for you. I enjoyed that movie. It's been a while since I've saw it. And then one of the next movies I want to talk about, I think no matter which position you're in, it was a powerful film. Gosnell, The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer. Great cast, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite a story. I hear that was one of the most successful crowdfunding films in history.
Yeah, we got a theatrical release out of it, even though that film was suppressed really hard by theaters. Even we would do well in a theater for a week, and then they'd take us out, because they didn't want the people to know about the movie. And, most films get over 100 reviews. We got 11, I think. And their
Wow.
strategy, most of the time with movies like that, if they're effective, if they're good, the left strategy is to ignore them, not to slam them, not to give them bad reviews, just pretend it doesn't exist.
Wow. So tell me about you got something like 30,000 people to raise over $2 million for that. Is that how
Yeah.
that crowdfunding thing worked out?
Well, I wasn't really involved in that. I was just basically hired as a director after money had been raised. I don't really know how that crowdfunding thing works. And I'm not really just to be honest, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think that serves any purpose because it basically relieves the filmmakers from having to make profit. And the only way you get more movies that, that are not typical coming out of the Hollywood machine is to make them profitable. So I would rather have investors than crowdfunding.
Yeah. Well, no matter what, you did it. I encourage everyone, if you haven't seen it, and really it's a crazy part of American history, what this guy did. I mean, there's no two ways around it.
Yeah, and how he was able to get away with it for so long.
Yeah, but I think he finally got exposed, and the movie really, exposed it to a wider audience than any. So I want to jump into a film I saw a couple years ago. I think it was 2020. America, America, God Shed His Grace on Thee. Very, very interesting film. And that was something you did kind of unique. You went to, I guess it's the Western Journal Movies, and you streamed it, opened up on one day, and you had a whole bunch of views.
No, it was actually the Western Conservative Summit.
That's right. That West.
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
And every year they have a convention, and in 2020 they couldn't have one because of all the COVID nonsense. And so instead of having a live convention that people could attend, they decided to make a movie that everybody could watch at once. And so they financed this film. It was the first time I'd made a documentary. And when they first asked me, I said, no, I don't really do that. And then I thought about it for a couple of days and thought, well, maybe I could do that, and the idea of the movie excited me. And it's a movie about the relationship between the Bible and God and America and how that has changed over the years. And turned out really good. And it actually quite funny. It's
thanks to you. It had a lot of funny parts. And I didn't realize that you were pretty good friends with Herman Cain. You had worked with him earlier, and that was his last movie that he ever appeared in.
Yeah, we interviewed Herman 3 days before he went in the hospital, and just a really terrible loss. But I had known Herman since 2012 because I endorsed him, from my vast Hollywood platform, and I ended up actually making an ad for him called he carried yellow flowers, which is really kind of a funny ad poking fun at Hollywood celebrity endorsements. And Herman loved it. And Herman put it up, endorsed it, put his "I'm Herman Cain and I approve of this message" on it. And so we got to be friends ever after that.
Very, very cool. That definitely came across in the movie. So moving on to Capital Punishment, I don't know if it was just luck or strategic insight, but you literally had the foresight to be at the Capitol January 6th, and Chris Burgard, your director, was there, right? With a small crew. And what was fascinating to me, and no matter which end of the political spectrum you are, because it's this unfortunate time, we're so friggin' divided.
Right.
The government and all the news organizations were saying, hey, there's 50,000 Trump supporters and a bunch of white supremacists. And I saw some of the people smashing windows, breaking through the doors, and those people should be held accountable. But what was the truth? You were there. I saw the movie. The camera doesn't lie. I mean, how many people do you think were really there? And were there other people? And were there people who actually weren't necessarily Trump supporters?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I went there. Chris, it's all Chris Burgard's fault. He talked me into going. I was there on January 6th, not really with the idea that we were going to make a movie. We just went because we're great Americans and we were interested in what was happening. And I made a few iPhone videos or whatever, just things that I do normally. And then when we got home that night, what I saw in the media didn't look like anything like what I'd seen being there. I mean, saw so many people, millions. I think it was over 1 million at least. And most of them were my age or older, and they were singing and praying and, saying the Pledge of Allegiance and listening to the speech. And, it was kind of a happy, joyful crowd. I had a really good time. And then I got home that night and I'm like, what? I'm a terrorist? I'm an insurrectionist? And then as it went on, as it unfolded, the aftermath of that, and you'd see all these people being rounded up and treated like criminals. And I started to think, this is not possible. How is it possible for them to only be telling one side of the story? Why are they lying to us? And so that's around April is when we started really going out and talking to people who'd had their doors broken down and that sort of thing, and making the movie.
So yeah, several people in the movie said that they thought they were at least 1 million. One or two people said 2 million. Was it interesting to you to see people of all different colors? I mean, it wasn't like 95% white people there, right? I mean, it seemed like
absolutely not.
Movie, you're moving the camera around through all these crowds and shooting everything. It seemed like a very, very diverse crowd.
Absolutely. I mean, Chinese Americans for Trump, there was a huge number of Chinese people there because they have lived through, the communist government of China, and they warning about this is coming if you let them steal this election. And many people, Black people, brown people, all kinds of people that the people interviewed in our movie are very diverse because it wasn't a white supremacist racist crowd. That's just another one of the lies. And so these lies just keep cascading out, and you just start going, what is it they're trying to accomplish? Why are they lying to us? And what you find out in Capital Punishment is that the break-in itself is very suspicious because the break-in happened 15 minutes before Trump even finished speaking. All the people that were listening to him weren't at the Capitol yet. And then you find out there are BLM, Antifa people there who were changing clothes in the bushes, putting on their MAGA gear.
I saw that in the movie. You put cameras on them.
And then we have Christopher Wray saying that there was no BLM presence there. Well, John Sullivan was a BLM activist who actually filmed Ashley Babbitt being shot. How can you say that there's no one there? I mean, so just the lies, there's so many lies that it makes you suspect the entire thing. And, I'm sure people will call me a conspiracy theorist, but if your conspiracy theory comes true, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore.
Yeah. And thank God you had, those cameras with you, your iPhones with you, because you documented it so well. I was just blown away. Was there, when you were in the edit suite, you're seeing what the government is telling you, you're seeing what all the media is telling you. Were there a couple things when you're piecing together the movie, did it just shocked you? They're like, oh my God, like we have to tell this, or like, oh, like, things that stood out?
As the movie went on, I found myself being more interested in the persecution of American citizens by the government, because what they are doing by treating these decent Americans, these people that we interview in the movie, these are neighbors that you would feel safe living next door to. I mean, these are really, really decent people. And the FBI drives armored vehicles into their neighborhoods and breaks down their doors and treats them like they're dangerous killers or,
Terrorists.
Drug cartel leaders. And what they're trying to do is terrorize and send a message, not only by putting these people through hell in the legal system, but by turning their communities against them, by stigmatizing them, and by treating them this way. You have all the neighbors going, wow, Tony must have done something horrible. And so he gets fired from his job, he loses his house, And that happens over and over and over again. So that's really what I began to focus on more in the editing room. A lot of that stuff that is in Tucker Carlson's documentary about the FBI being involved and informants and that sort of thing. It's in our movie, but it's not the main focus, because I wanted us to focus on how American citizens were being persecuted by their own government.
Yeah, I think you captured that pretty well. The human element. Without giving any spoilers away, I love the part too where you got pulled in front of the Congress, the congressional hearing, and to school those people. So
I always when I make these movies, I always have to get the funny stuff out of my system at some point, and we just shoot some stuff, and a lot of it we didn't use and some of it we did, but yeah, that my testimony before Congress turned out to be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, maybe we can make this whole country talented again. I mean,
right.
I don't know what has happened in the past couple of years, but just crazy.
Well, but by putting the movie out the way we did, capitalpunishmentthemovie.com, we're going around Hollywood, because Hollywood has destroyed itself. It's destroyed its own reputation with at least half the country. And so we have to start building a new entertainment system. We have to there's a huge audience out there that is not being served by the majority of the product that are coming out of the Hollywood industry. So we have to start doing it ourselves. We have to stop griping about them being mean or them being bullies and just say, we don't need them anymore. We're going to make our own movies. We're going to find a way to deliver them to the audience that wants to see them. And we're going to make them profitable so that we can make more movies. And it's as simple as that. I'm not, people ask me if I worried about being blacklisted or whatever. It's like, I don't even think that way anymore. I don't care. Most of the stuff they send me to look at, I don't want to be part of anyway. So it's time to start moving forward instead of, just living in bitterness about the industry.
Well, you bring up a good point, because there's a lot of people who don't have the resume that you have. Let's just say you're a young guy in your 20s, you're just hitting Hollywood, maybe you have one or two movies under your belt, and you get the idea to finance your own micro budget or low budget movie. What would you say to them? Because to me, this is like a, I don't want to say anti-Hollywood, but it's like a film renaissance with all these different DIY platforms and fundraising capabilities. I mean, anyone can make a movie if you really focus on it.
That's right. They have basically democratized the mechanism to make a film. And what I say to young people who want to make movies, I say, don't think you're, about just moving to Hollywood and trying to audition for things. Make your own movie, make your own thing, and don't be afraid of what you think. They try to make you go, oh, well, Hollywood will never buy this or Hollywood will never buy that. Who cares? Hollywood won't buy much of anything anyway. Just make your own movie, be bold about what you think, make it about subject you're interested in, and go forward from there. I think we're going to remove the importance of Hollywood in the next 20 years. They basically killed their own industry. The movie theaters are in trouble because, they haven't been open for 2 years because they've embraced all the COVID stuff. And so you have a generation of kids that are growing up without that experience. That going to the movies is not going to be a part of their lives. So it's not going to be important to them as they get older.
Which is tragic. I hope that some of them will make it back to a movie theater, because I thought that was such a cool part of my teenage years, and
absolutely
being a movie lover ever since I saw Smokey and the Bandit 7 times when I was a kid.
Exactly right. Yeah, me too. That's why I wound up doing what I'm doing, is because I love the movies so much. And it's sad, but I think we have to bring it back. And the way you bring it back is not by kowtowing to them, but to accept reality and make your own things.
So to these young bucks getting out, or young girls getting out of film school, they want to do their own version of Carolina Low, or their own low budget $100,000-$300,000 film. What would be some advice that you would say to them to raising the money? Because you did it when you were much younger. You and your partner, you raised $300,000.
Right. Well, you can do it for much less now. You don't have to have that much money to make a movie. And if you make a movie with your iPhone, it's usually picture-wise, it's about as good a quality as anything Hollywood can make anyway. I would encourage young filmmakers to go ahead and make a shoestring budget movie. Just go ahead and make one. Make a feature. Making a short is just about as hard as making a feature anyway. So you might as well, and do it for do it for 10,000, whatever, because content is going to be the key. Content is the key anymore. And if you make a good movie about a subject that people are interested in, it doesn't really matter how much it costs. And then once you've done that, you can make the next one and your budgets can grow.
True. And I don't even laugh about that iPhone anything more. I mean, that movie Tangerine.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Blew that up. I mean, there have been several movies that I've seen in theaters shot on iPhone now in that world. So I really want to commend you for just being fearless, for telling this story, getting it out there, and Capital Punishment, I think, is possibly the most important movie in 2021 going into 2022 that every American should see, because there's some things in there that the camera doesn't lie. Mm-hmm. And you uncovered some stuff that I think a lot of independent, the majority of Americans would find shocking. So what's the best way for everybody here to go out and see Capital Punishment?
Go straight to capitalpunishmentthemovie.com. That's a website devoted just to purchasing the downloads of the movie, or there's also an option there where you can order a DVD as well. And we did it this way because we wanted to make sure and release it on a way that we couldn't be shut down, that we couldn't be taken off of Amazon or taken off of Netflix or whatever. And, I reiterate, it's very important to make films like this successful so that we can make more of them. And so just go to capitalpunishmentthemovie.com right now. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, God bless you for making an awesome film. And in case any of our Millionaire Flicks audience is watching right now, do you have any new films in development?
Yeah, I have 2 scripts that I'm ready to go with as soon as I start raising the money. I'm going to try to stay away from making another documentary, at least for the time being. But I have a script about gospel quartet music in the mid to late 60s that I'm really fond of. It's a great, rich subject that's never really been explored, called Where I'm Bound, and it's got great music in it and a lot of fun, and it's a drama. And there's another script that I'm working on with a friend. It's more of a kind of a Rambo border movie kind of thing. But both of those movies are scripted and ready to go. And I almost had the money to start Where I'm Bound, I think, would have already been made if COVID hadn't hit. I almost had.
What's the budget on that first one you mentioned?
The gospel quartet music?
Yeah.
$5 million.
Okay. That's pretty reasonable. And you know enough actor friends, you can pull in some good names. Yeah.
The ones that'll still speak to me after they see Capital Punishment.
Yeah, no, I think there are quite a few. So if any of these people are interested in finding more about these films, what's the best way to follow you or contact you? I know you still got a big presence on Twitter. You come in hot every day.
Yeah. If you want to see a knife fight, it's yes, Nick Searcy. My Twitter feed is just like, I don't know. It's like zombies being dragged through a gutter or something, and me against the zombies. But it's kind of fun. Yes, Nick Searcy. And you can also reach me anytime at nick@nicksearcy.com. That's kind of my public email, nick@nicksearcy.com.
Great. Well, I always enjoy being entertained on your Twitter feed. And yes, there are a lot of uneducated zombies out there, so I have fun reading that.
And I execute them viciously day after day.
Well, Nick Searcy, from a remote bunker somewhere, we don't know where. Thank you so much for being on the show, and hope to see you again without a mask real soon.
Thank you, Scott. Nice talking to you.
Thanks for listening, and remember, it's time!
There's never been a better time to make your own indie film. And if you have a dream project you're excited about, and 100% committed to getting it funded, go to financeyourmovie.com and click on the green telephone button. You'll see our calendar, and if you find an open spot, grab it. You'll get a one-on-one call with me or one of my partners. It will be the best hour you've ever spent getting clarity and strategy towards financing your movie. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.